Welcome back, everyone. My name is Nicole Brenny. This is my channel dedicated to astrology, tarot, and the cards of truth. And if you're interested in booking a reading or a life coaching session with me, you may do so at my website, NicoleBrenny.com. I also offer classes. I'm offering a class in the cards of truth. It is currently sold out, but if you're interested in learning the cards, don't worry. There are other options available, and I may teach this class again, so you can send me an email, hi@NicoleBrenny.com, to talk to me about those options. And also, if you go to NicoleBrenny.com/classes, I talk to you all about what my course is going to offer. I was mentioning to everyone that I don't know if I'll teach the course again. However, if there's a huge interest in this course, I'll definitely try to make that happen. And maybe I won't do it next year. Maybe I'll actually do it this year in the fall, so I can free up next year for other projects. So it's already sold out, but if you are super interested and you were trying to get into one of the last minute spots, please send me an email, hi@NicoleBrenny.com, and I will see if there's a lot of people. I'll try to make something happen sooner. Okay. And there may be a chance that one or two spots will open up. The reason I'm saying this is because there were just a few prospective students that are traveling in foreign countries, or they have other extenuating circumstances where they couldn't submit their tuition right away. And I wanted to honor that. But if something happens, I will let you know if another spot opens up. But I'm super, super excited. I've been working on the different materials for that class, and I can't wait. But today is just kind of a casual day. So Joni Petrie was supposed to be on the channel today. I was really excited about that interview, and I still am. It's just going to be rescheduled for Thursday. Everything is getting rescheduled with this Mercury retrograde. Normally, I don't really have a problem with Mercury retrograde, but I always have a problem with other people's schedules. So my clients will often forget their times. There will be time zone issues, technical issues that cause rescheduling. And I'm seeing that my interviews are being rescheduled too. So Joni will be Thursday, and I don't know if it will be live or if I'll just be posting it later on in the day. And then the Leo King, David Palmer, we're still working that out because he has quite a busy schedule. Hopefully he'll come on soon. And Alyssa Trahan, hopefully sometime soon as well. So everything's getting rescheduled. There's nothing I can do about it. It will just have to be pretty, it'll have to be, whenever it's going to happen, it will be pretty interesting when it does. Okay. So there's always divine timing with that kind of stuff. The other thing I wanted to mention before I jump into these story times is I have made a Cards of Truth calendar, which is so exciting because there's some times when I'm traveling and I don't really want to bring my laptop with me and I don't have clients, and I just want to know what the card of the day is. Okay. I don't want to have to look it up online or anything like that. And so I made a Cards of Truth calendar that you can print out. You can put it in your purse, your tote bag, your backpack. You can put it on your fridge, wherever you want to, so that you can easily access the card of the day, even if you don't have your technology with you. This is also really fun if you're at a party and you want to be able to tell somebody what their birth card is. Just make sure that if the person was born before sunrise, that you go to the day prior. And you can also find the most important days of the entire year with this calendar within seconds. In my last video that I just posted, you'll see the picture of the calendar in the thumbnail. I go over all of this. And then I will likely be making more videos using this calendar. But if you really want to go super in depth, of course, that's going to happen in my class or in my future classes for those of you that are not on the roster for this class. So I will be teaching you how to use this calendar. If you don't have it, go get it now. The link to that calendar is in the description, and I'll probably leave a link to it in a comment as well, but it's really easy to find in the description. You can go and get it. So I'm very excited about that calendar because I have already had to use it. And today is a 10 of Clubs day, which is kind of why I'm feeling like all over the place, because a 10 of Clubs is like the juggler, you know, it's the traditional card of the juggler in the tarot card, if we align the Cards of Truth with the tarot. So I'm feeling like talking about everything and nothing at the same time. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to tell you guys some stories and you can ask me whatever questions you want to. It's been such an interesting day. I just switched into a new card in my year spread. So I'm feeling this burst of new energy, and I was surfing for a couple of hours this morning and I just had so many ideas. So I'm just going to talk about a bunch of stuff today, and, you know, it'll just be kind of a fun day for us to get to know each other better and to reconnect. So we have a bunch of people talking in the chat. Lisha, hello. Zizi, hello. Michael, Ia, Naomi, M. Someone says earwax. You guys still can't hear me very well? Let me know if you can hear me. If you can't hear me, everyone let me know if you can hear me, because I don't want to do like a 5-hour long video where you can't hear me. Okay, great. And if there was something I was saying in the beginning that you couldn't hear, then just let me know and I will explain it below. I think I need to get a new laptop or something like that. Okay, perfect. Hello, Dasha. Hello, Mary. So yeah, I wanted to talk about 3 different things. How I got into tarot, which is kind of fun. One of the reasons why I actually really regretted going to Vipassana for a long time. At first, I was like really excited about having gone, but then for like a year, I really regretted it. And I want to tell you guys why, in case you were considering going or that's part of your plan. So now I'm at a good place with it, but for a while, I really regretted going. And then I was going to maybe talk to you guys a little bit about how I ended up in Costa Rica. So lots of different stories. So the first thing is, it wasn't like my family was tarot card readers and they handed down this gift of tarot card reading to me or anything like that at all. I actually grew up in a very small farm town, and my last name is Brenny, and I didn't grow up here, but near where I was living, there was a place called Brennyville. Like there's like the place of the people with my last name. So I grew up in this really, really, really small town. And my family was actually really active in the churches there. And I went to Catholic school growing up. So tarot was definitely not a part of like my traditional upbringing at all. I was so much more about the Bible. And it wasn't even like we just sat and read Bibles every single night. It was more so just like this traditional Catholic lifestyle, right? It's really hard to explain because it's not like the Christian thing that you see when you're watching TV and in the movies. It's like, I don't know. It's like kind of using God as an excuse to be a jerk sometimes. I don't know how to explain that any better. It was like a lot of the men in my family were so rude to women, and they would just like quote the Bible. You know, it wasn't like they were really sitting there reading their Bibles every day. They would just kind of use the church teachings to validate kind of like the stupid things that they would do. And then they would go to church every Sunday and donate money to the church and like feel like they were good just because they did that. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm not saying anything bad about my family or anything bad about Catholics in general, but it's like you're spiritual, but you're not really actually doing the spiritual thing. It's more like you're just following these random rules that don't make sense. And you're not even thinking about why you do it, you know? Can't really explain it. So I was always like this sensitive kid, and I would always like hear voices, not like a schizophrenic person, but I would like hear my name being called and I would feel energies. And apparently when I was a kid, like just 2 or 3 years old, I think I was old enough to talk. So maybe around 3 or 4 years old, I was told that when I was taking a bath, I started talking to someone, and my grandmother asked me, "Who are you talking to?" And I said, "Oh, I'm talking to the man with the yellow hair right there." And apparently there had been like a lot of poltergeist activity in my grandmother's house at that time. And her nephew had just passed away a couple of days earlier. So I had been speaking with her nephew, and she knew that because her nephew had blonde hair. So I would like talk to ghosts and things like this. Apparently. And I would also see things, like I would see orbs. And we had in our house growing up, pretty much like what I would say that we had poltergeists. You know, we had things that would move around, lights flickering on and off. My brother, which I feel so bad for him, who was around my age, would have the remote control. Like one night, the remote control like flew across the room and whipped him in the face while he was sleeping. He like woke up screaming, and I would have my TV turn on and off. We definitely always had the lights flickering. I'm trying to think of more examples. We also had the doors in our kitchen opening and closing, opening and closing. And this is kind of, there's two creepy stories I'll really tell you. So this is the tarot story, but there's a lot of stories in it. One time my mom walked into the kitchen, and every single door it was Friday the 13th, believe it or not, and every single kitchen door and cupboard was open. And my mom was like, oh, the kids are being so funny, like this is such a funny thing. And Friday the 13th, you guys got me. So she closes all the cupboard doors, and she walks into her bedroom, and she comes back out for a glass of water or something, and they're all open again. And she's like, okay, the first time was funny. Now this is really annoying. So she closes them again. She walks back out of the kitchen, and she walks back in, and then all of the chairs are in the middle of the kitchen. And I might be getting the details wrong, but all of the chairs are in the middle of the kitchen. And now she's like actually getting scared, like something is crazy, something's weird. So she calls all of us down there. There's me and my 3 brothers and sisters. She's like, okay, the first time it was funny. The second time it was annoying. The third time, now you guys are like going too far. And we were like, what are you talking about, Mom? We didn't do anything. Why are you trying to scare us? She's like, you guys, who did this? Tell me who did this. Who put all these chairs in the middle of the room? We're like, Mom, stop it. We didn't do anything. She's like, one of you better confess to this, because this is not funny. And then we were all crying at this point. And at that point, my mom realized, okay, this is something else. This is not my children doing this. This is a spirit or whatever it is. And I honestly don't remember what we did the rest of the day, but I just remember how scary that was. So we really had this strong poltergeist activity, and there was for sure one woman who died in our basement. She was walking, and this sounds like I'm making it up. I mean, all this kind of stuff sounds like I'm making it up, but it's part of the story I'm telling you. There was a woman that was she was very young. She was a teenager, and it was prom, and they were having a party for prom night. And she went down the stairs to the basement in her prom dress to get some pickles. And on the way down to the basement, she had an aneurysm and fell down the stairs and died. So there was definitely at least one person. I heard several other people might have died in that house from like old age. So there were spirits in there. And me and my brothers and sisters, no matter how logical we were, none of us would ever go into a room by ourselves or go upstairs by ourselves or go to the basement by ourselves. And until we moved out of that house, most nights I would sleep with one of my siblings because I was so scared. And almost all of us would sleep with the lights on. I know my older sister slept with the lights on. It was just like so scary there. Okay. To make things scarier, I had like a weird attic door above my bed, and I had a little tiny crawl space in my room that like was half the size of a human being for like I don't know how to say it, like a little person size door, in my room. And then there was, I don't know what my parents were thinking, but my room was decorated with clowns. So it was even scarier. But all of this is to say, to give you guys the background, that from a young age, I always believed in ghosts. I always believed in the unknown. I always believed in something else existing. And these were the concrete reasons why, is because there was always crazy things happening around our house. And I would hear voices, and I would be woken up in the middle of the night. And the thing, like I said, like my TV and my radio always turning on in the middle of the night, just randomly, to me and my brothers and my sisters. And we weren't tricking each other. We were all in this together, being scared. And so I always was interested in asking questions and reading books. And every time there was a movie about ghosts or whatever, we would watch it, and we would be super interested in all this. We loved Goosebumps. We loved Are You Afraid of the Dark? All this kind of stuff. And it really resonated with the experiences that we were having. And so I always was interested in those things. And I don't know how I first learned about tarot, but I think it's just maybe from the movies that I was watching and the books that I was reading. And they never seemed like something real that you could actually buy and use. But one day, many years after we moved out of that house, and when we did move out of that house, all that fear and stuff finally went away. But one day when we moved out of that house, I was talking to my stepmom, and she casually mentioned that she had a tarot reading once. And I was like, what? A tarot reading? Those things are real? You can actually do that? I thought that was just in the movies. And to me, tarot was like just another mystical thing that, because, you know, I believed in these things that no one else believed in, I was willing to believe that tarot cards worked as well. So to me, like any kind of thing that was mystical, I wanted to explore and study and learn about. So she's like, yeah, of course I had a tarot reading, and she predicted all this stuff and it all came true and it was amazing. And I was like, well, can we listen to your reading? I was asking her all these questions. I was so excited, and she was kind of feeling nervous about sharing this with me because my dad is super Catholic, and, you know, I was raised Catholic. So she was like, I'm not going to show you the reading, and I don't want to get into that, but maybe when you're older, you can get a tarot card reading. I'll take you to the same woman that I went to. So that year, or not that year, the next year when I turned 12, I think, that's kind of when it all really began for me. I got a tarot card reading for my birthday, and I got my first deck of tarot cards, like my first deck of real tarot cards. I think when I was 10 or 11, my grandmama, my grandmother, we call her grandmama because she likes that. She's from South America. She bought me like a starter deck of tarot cards that had like the meanings written on them, which I eventually gave to a friend that was learning the tarot. So I got my first deck of real tarot cards. I got my first real reading, and I haven't stopped reading since that deck. And I actually read with that deck from the age of 12 until the age of 22 or 23, maybe even 24. Like I just used one deck. I never bought another deck until that deck was so warped and worn out that I couldn't read with it anymore. And the reading that I had was really interesting. She told me so many things. She said that, actually, it was funny. She said that I would be really known for my music and for my writing, which was kind of funny because I did end up making music, and I probably will still make music. And I haven't done a lot of writing. Like writing isn't something that you guys really know me for, but I am working on a couple of different things right now that I don't want to tell you guys too much about, but I've been writing like a mad person since Jupiter aspected my Mercury. And I was writing for some really, really big websites for a while. And so those websites would get over 300,000 hits a day. So my articles would get hundreds of thousands of hits a day. I was writing anonymously and under a pen name. So some of the most famous things I've ever done in my life are with writing, you know, so that's pretty crazy. And also some of the biggest, like I've made a lot of money from writing, winning awards for writing. So I think it's funny that I don't actually do writing because I've always like won awards for writing, and also it's reached the most people, even more than my YouTube channel. Maybe, I don't know, but it's pretty crazy, right? So she said that, and she said that if I have kids, it's dependent upon the person that I marry, which I thought was interesting. And she also just said like, yeah, I have a gift and I'll probably be using my psychic ability in some way. So that was super, super interesting. So I don't think it was like the best perfect reading of my life, but it really inspired me and it was really interesting for me. And it got me started on my path to tarot. And the way that I use tarot is actually, I should tell you guys, my first tarot deck I ever had was called the Shapeshifter Tarot, and it's in storage right now. So you guys can go look it up online. It has animals in it, which I really love animals, obviously. And so I bought that, and then I went to an antique store and I got this painted Russian box. It was black on the outside, painted red on the inside. And then there were stars that were made out of little cut pieces of straw, like little tiny triangles of straw that were glued on the outside. So there was these beautiful star patterns. And actually that kind of a star is a star that I use as a symbol in my music. I use it a lot in, even for this, Listen to the Stars, you might see those kinds of stars. It's like I think an 8-pointed star. And so I still love that that symbol. And I got that box, a really nice piece of silk, and a crystal to put in the box with my deck of cards. And I used that deck every single day. Every single day I would draw a card and I would just meditate on it. I never really studied the book that it came with because it just seemed like too specific. The meanings were like way, way too specific. So I would really just kind of look at the keywords that they gave, and I would try to see how the card related in my own life, in my own energy. And I did that for like 10 years. And so my education with tarot is more empirical than anything else. I never really read tarot books. I never really took a class, but I've always had a really good connection with tarot, and I've always used it, and it's always worked for me. So that's how I studied it. I read for all my friends for free. I read for all my family for free. I was reading for people all the time, any chance that I got. And I actually like read tarot cards for free for like over a decade before I even charged $5 for a tarot card reading, because I never thought I was actually going to do this professionally. So that is how I started to do this. And then eventually some of my friends got into tarot, so they got their own decks. And I remember one really good memory of me and my friend Nicole and my other friend Nicole and my friend Alyssa. So 3 Nicoles and 1 Alyssa, where we had our tarot card decks and we buried a huge hole in the ground, and we buried our tarot decks underground for the night of the full moon. And we took these little, we were like 13 years old. We've been into this for a long time. We took these little metal like bowls, like ice cream bowls, almost little tiny beautiful metal ice cream bowls, and we filled them with rubbing alcohol, and we lit them up, and we had all these like torches everywhere, and we were like, I don't know, I was kind of the leader, so I was probably making us do some kind of a ritual, and it felt so magical and it was so powerful. And then we sat on the roof of my friend Nicole's house and watched the moon, probably topless because we were being crazy girls. Crazy teenagers, moon bathing in the stars. It was a really, really nice memory. So that is how I really got into tarot. And then I feel like I'm missing some kind of an important part of that story. But I think basically then I started to work for an ice cream company, a vegan ice cream company. And it was really awesome because I only worked a couple of days a week, and I made music the rest of the rest and my food, and I lived very minimally. And so I had all this time. And so I started to read for friends for like $5, $15, anywhere within that range. And then my friend that's a tarot card reader as well was always taking groups, and there were sometimes that she couldn't do it. So I started doing parties with her, and that kind of jump-started me to do it more professionally. But then it was just kind of like my friends would tell their friends, and then I was just starting to do readings for people, and it started ending up being like 1 or 2 readings a week, and then their friends would tell people, and all of a sudden I was getting like 10 readings a month, and this was in addition to like any other job that I had. And after a while I was realizing that I was making a good amount of money every month just from word of mouth readings. And it wasn't until after I started my YouTube channel and I met Ernst Wilhelm that Ernst Wilhelm was probably the person that pushed me the most to like actually do it professionally, because I was already doing it and I had so much experience, like at that point, like 15 years or something of experience reading tarot, you know, like very regularly. So I think that was pretty much like, I can thank Ernst the most for being like, you should do this, like pushing me, like get your business going. And that really, really helped me. I mean, I think I'm trying to think if that was him or if it was like at that time I was just heading in that direction. It was like a lot of things coming together at once. So that's pretty cool. So that's my story of how I got into tarot, how I got started. Also at the time, my grandmother was really into Doreen Virtue. So I had a bunch of angel card decks, like mermaid decks, things like that. So I was using oracle cards as well as tarot, but I usually only use my shapeshifter tarot deck. And then this is the second deck I've ever had. So I don't know if you guys can really even believe that, but this is the second deck I've ever had. I got it like 7 or 8 years ago, probably 7 years ago. And after I got the second deck, I kind of started to collect decks as well, just to kind of study their symbolism and because of their beauty. But I don't really do that anymore because I'm in Costa Rica. So that's my story of my tarot card life, my tarot card lifestyle. Okay. Any questions? Yes, Maria, I'm excited to read for you. Yep, you're my client for today. Okay. Hello, Elizabeth. And it is really fun looking back at old readings. I actually don't get that many readings because I've always read for myself, so I don't like always need to go to someone else. But I was listening to 2 readings from 2 astrologers from before I started doing astrology. I'm not going to say their names because I don't really want to I don't know. I always tell you guys the astrologers I like. So I'm not going to tell you that they did a specific reading, but maybe I will in the future. But one astrologer predicted that I would be doing healing work and maybe not astrology, he said, but he said like healing work and consciousness raising work from a very far away land, from a very far away isolated land. And that I would be teaching and I would be writing books and doing all that kind of stuff, which I think is so crazy that he predicted that. And when I heard him predict that, I was like, yeah, that will probably happen. But in my mind, I was like, yeah, maybe when I'm 60. And it was funny that it just happened so quickly. So here I am in a faraway land sharing my knowledge with you. And then I had another astrologer also say like the work that I'm going to do is going to be spirituality related. And I honestly never really believed, I believe what they said, but I always thought when I was 60, I thought that I was just going to be this musician, living the lifestyle, traveling the world as a musician. I never thought it would be like this. So when you get a reading and your astrologer says something, it seems like, I don't know if that will happen, open up your mind a little bit because anything can happen. Things can change very, very quickly. Yes, Zizi, the tarot cards relate to the cards of truth. In a way, not the way that you think. I have a video about that on my channel. So you can search for that so you can hear more in depth. Okay, if you like that story, give it a thumbs up. If you like my shirt. You can't not like this shirt. Give this video a thumbs up, okay? Leave a comment below if you like my shirt. Would you say you receive a small blessing when you get a reading? Yes, definitely, of course. I really do think that. I think when your reading is a sacred time, no matter what happens. Rahul says, was it Kapil Raj? I will tell you that Kapil has made many predictions for me. And I'm not going to say if he made those predictions correctly or not, but he is very good at predictive work. I will say that. And there are many predictions he's made for me that I don't know if they've come true or not yet because they haven't happened yet. But he's very, very talented. Okay, now what can I say? Yeah, I was lucky to hang out with Kapil and a bunch of other amazing astrologers in Sedona and have dinner with them. So that was a really great moment. Now let's talk about why I regretted Vipassana. Who here has done Vipassana? If you've done Vipassana before, give this video a thumbs up. Or if you're thinking about it. Vipassana is a silent retreat where basically you cannot speak to anybody at all. And you're basically there just to learn Vipassana meditation and meditate. And you can meditate anywhere from 5 to 10 hours a day. Okay, I'm Saturn, so I'm disciplined. I love discipline. I love these crazy challenges, these restrictive, tough challenges. So Vipassana was like perfect for me. I was like, I'm going to be meditating 10 hours a day, every single day. First person there, last person to leave. Saturn. So I went to this Vipassana retreat and I was a little bit nervous because, of course, it's something totally different, not being able to talk for 10 days. So like I said, you go there, it's a silent retreat, 10 hours a day of meditation for 10 days straight. Yeah, I was scared. So I did this and I had an amazing experience. There were some really, really scary moments, but I had this amazing experience, which I detail in my video on my channel about Vipassana. And afterwards, when I first finished it, I felt like amazing. I can't even explain it. I felt so good that literally people in the street would smile at me for no reason. Like I was happy. So everyone else around me was happy. You know, babies would laugh when they saw me and they would smile, and people would just come up to me and say, hello, how are you? And I didn't even know them. They'd just be like, oh my gosh, how are you? You know, like weird things like this would happen because I think I raised my vibration so high, and so many beautiful things started coming into my life too because of Vipassana. But there was one side effect that really scared me and really made me think like, maybe I shouldn't have done Vipassana, or maybe it wasn't the time, or I'm not sure. But before I did Vipassana, I was so ambitious. I mean, like so ambitious. I would wake up every single morning and I would work on music for like 48 hours straight without sleeping. I would drink coffee and I would just make music until I literally had no energy left in my body. And I would be trying to get shows, and I'd be trying to like collaborate with people, and I would be trying to make song after song after song, and like I like learn as much as I could about music production. I was so ambitious. I wanted to be the greatest pop star ever born. Like, I'm being completely honest with you guys. I wanted to be like, you know, who Britney Spears was to 13-year-olds back in the early 2000s. I wanted to be like this amazing pop star figure. Okay. Like that was my childhood dream. And I had this ambition in me so strong my entire life. And after Vipassana, it was gone, completely gone. And I couldn't find it. Like I would search so deep and I would look for it. And it was like, it was almost like the thing, the carrot in front of my face, the thing that was like leading me and pushing me and motivating me every single day of my life had just vanished. My motivating force for everything was gone. Like no longer after Vipassana did I care about money. I didn't care about fame. I didn't care about success. I didn't care about any of that anymore. I didn't care about being the best anymore. And that was great. Like not caring about being famous, not caring about money, not caring about success or proving anything to anyone. I mean, people work their entire lives to get rid of that feeling, you know? So that was amazing on one hand, but on the other hand, I lost my motivation to do anything. Like part of me was like, okay, well, like life started to almost feel meaningless. Okay, well, if I don't care about fame and fortune and being the most successful, best thing ever, then why even do it? Like I started to get this really strange thing going on in my brain. Like, why am I even doing all this? And I started to question, well, was I just doing music to become famous and successful and like, you know, feel like I was deserving of people's admiration? Or was it like a real true thing? And it started to make me ask questions to myself about why I was even doing it in the first place. But really the scary thing was I lost my motivation for a very, very good reason, but I still lost it. So for a long time, I regretted going to Vipassana. For a long time, I was like, wow, that silent retreat made it so that I couldn't finish my album. I never played another show again. Like literally, you can look at the timeline. After Vipassana meditation, my relationship with music ended. And that makes me really, really sad in many ways. That I don't say like I blame Vipassana, but I changed. Like it was like something inside me changed. And I really think that that was a really bad part of me that I didn't like, you know, because I think that on a certain level, we are taught by every single person, every single movie, every single thing that we've read, especially if you're around my age. Like we were raised in the United States society, at least, to believe that your life is only important if you're famous and if you're rich and if you're successful and if you're successful in this specific way. You know, so for women, it's like to be this amazing pop star that's sexy, and also girls like you too, and like you're cute and you're passionate and you're fierce. Like you have to be all these things, you know, and you also have to be skinny, and you also for some reason have to like be all these things at once that don't even make sense to be at the same time. And I think that this whole dream that I had about music was like me trying to just feel like life was meaningful. And what I got instead was like life is meaningful just because you're alive, and having to kind of come to terms with that. And it was really, really scary. It was like feeling like you're floating out in the middle of nowhere with no one to guide you, like in literal blackness. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this, but that is how it felt. So I really regretted Vipassana because it took away like this fake sense of security that I had in my life, that if I just do this one thing and I do it well, that my life will be meaningful, I will be successful, I will be famous and everything, then my life will be something important, you know? But I realized that that's not really the point of life. So my life took a huge different turn, and I realized like that I'm just going to be myself, and I don't really care if I'm rich or famous. I just care about share. Like I kind of went into this like mode of, what do I have to offer the world? So it's like I could see like people wanted my tarot card readings. People were asking me for advice. People were benefiting from my knowledge. And so I started to kind of change my perspective of like, what do I want from the world to what can I offer the world? And I'm not saying that my life is somehow easier now or anything like that, but my motivating force for everything that I do is completely different. Like there have been so many opportunities that I've had to even make my channel bigger, you know, like grow at an exponential rate. And I will obviously take those opportunities if they come to me and they feel right. But if they're not really aligning with my real motivation, like the real motivation, not the fake carrot in front of the horse's head, making the horse move forward, like the real motivation, if they're not aligned with it, I just say no. And I think that that is a really good place to be in for myself, for you, for everyone. And I think, I don't know if I was quite ready for it. Obviously I was, but I didn't really feel quite ready for it when Vipassana just kind of threw that realization at me after 10 days. To go like from having a totally different perspective in 10 days is pretty intense. It's like losing a lot of weight at once. It took me a long time to come to terms with it, but I feel very grateful for it now. So if you aren't ready to completely change yourself and to like totally destroy your ego on a certain level, Vipassana is not for you. But if you're ready for that, then I think you're going to really, really enjoy it. You're going to really enjoy it. So Violet say, maybe it wasn't a part of your path then. Well, I really think that music will always be a part of my path in some way. And I do feel like at a certain point, I'll reconnect with it once I get to a place where I feel comfortable with what I'm doing. Like once I get to like almost like a plateau with what I'm doing in terms of my studies and all the stuff I do for myself with cards and astrology and all that kind of stuff, then I'll probably put more of my creative energy back into music. But I'm putting a lot of creative energy, even just for myself, into my spiritual studies right now. So I do think I'll reconnect with music, but I just don't think that it will be in that way. So I think that the way I was connecting with music and my motivation was not the right thing. Like I mean, I can't tell you guys how good it feels for me to be in the middle of making a song and it's like perfect and it's everything I wanted to hear. Like I make music how I want to hear it. Like I want music that gives me a specific feeling, and that's the kind of music that I create. And there's no better feeling than that, probably in the entire world. Surfing comes very close, but I think that feeling, performing, surfing, and falling in love, those are like the four like amazing best feelings I ever felt, plus the feeling of certain states of meditation. Those are also incredible. But you know, that's, you know, making a great song is like a reason to live. So I'm gonna reconnect with that when the time is right. Also at the same time, I should tell you, I went to a friend's show and I really needed earplugs, and I was walking around this venue trying to find earplugs, and I was like, okay, well, I can't find earplugs, so I'm gonna leave. But I couldn't get a taxi, and also one of my friends was going to give me a ride home, and he, for whatever reason, couldn't. So I was kind of stuck either in like freezing weather outside or being inside of this venue. So I just tried to stay inside of this venue with my hands over my ears, trying to protect my ears. But my intuition about needing earplugs was correct, and obviously my logic. So when I got home that night, I had the worst pain in my ears that lasted for like a week and a half. And I think I did some damage to my hearing at that point. So right after Vipassana and this happened. And so like I actually got physically blocked from making music too. So it was kind of like this really hard, sad moment in my life, and led me to other things. You know, everything happens for a reason. And I feel so grateful that I'm doing this kind of thing right now, because this, for me, I was always going to do this. I just thought I was going to do it when I was 60. So I get to do something really, really cool earlier in my life than I ever planned. And yeah, I think I told you guys in other videos that I was going to do music, filmmaking, then I was going to write books and do my spiritual work. That was my 30-year plan. 10 years music, 10 years filmmaking, 10 years writing books and spirituality. Now I'm basically doing all those things at once. You know, you see that in my makeover videos. It's like there's music, there's, you know, there's the intellectual part of it, there's the filmmaking part of it. It's just all in one piece now, which I think is a little bit better, right? So I used to make movies in college. That was kind of what I was studying too. Okay, so yes, music is sacred, and I'm going to do more with music. Don't you dare worry about that. I have a little MIDI keyboard here to make electronic music, and I'm going to start doing that here a little bit, but I'm not going to bring all my gear here because it's too humid. Maybe when I go back to Minnesota for a little while, I'll record something for you guys. It'll be fun. I did like some planetary chants. Maybe you want to hear that. Those are pretty fun. If you guys use chants for remedial astrology, you can chant with me. I have a Mercury one and a Lakshmi one. Lakshmi. Okay, then I think, so yeah, that's my story about why I kind of regretted going to Vipassana. If you had Vipassana regrets, comment below. But overall, no, I don't regret it now. Obviously, I see it as being a beautiful thing that I let go of these like weird motivating factors. And ask yourself, maybe you have like a weird motivating factor for doing something, and it's healthier to get to like the real reason rather than like living your life like a horse trying to chase this stupid carrot that's never going to come, you know? Also, I know rich people, I know famous people, doesn't really make your life better, you know, either of those things. It's better to just have the life you're meant to have by being yourself, to be honest with you. All right. Do you have a Leo Aquarius emphasis in your chart? Your experience with Vipassana seems like a kind of ego cleansing for work to benefit others. Just curious. I do not. I really don't. But maybe there was something else going on, or maybe there was a transit going on at the time. And Zizi says, but that was your passion. I think you're talking about music. And yeah, it's, you know, the thing is like, there's an underlying essence of everything. And I really get that, like a very similar feeling from surfing. Like I was surfing for 2 hours today. And the only reason I got out of the water is because I wanted to make this video. And also because I was going to get sunburned. Like sunburn is probably the number one reason I stop surfing at a certain point. Like I don't even stop when I'm tired. I get this amazing feeling from it. So I think that it's just me connecting with something greater than myself. Music is like a really amazing way for me to connect with something greater. And I think that a lot of my life path is revolving around me connecting with inspiration and wisdom and energy that's much bigger than myself. Like that's where I feel good. That's where I feel home, you know? So surfing is helping me right now a lot with that. And I like to be creative though. So maybe this is like an inspiration to make a new song soon. She says that her chart contains a lot of Leo Aquarius elements and I've been blocked from paths I have chosen. The carrots disappeared also. Well, you could also have a very strong Rahu influence because I think that my ascendant Lord with Rahu also has changed my path a lot. So you could have some kind of a strong Rahu influence. I don't get it. Why to get rid of the ego? A little bit of ego is good. Yes. I mean, I agree too. I think, I mean, obviously I still have an ego. Obviously I do. I don't know if you've seen how many selfies I post. No, I'm kidding. Sometimes I just post selfies because I literally don't have any other photos to share that are nice. Yeah, you need to be a part of life and you have to be a part of this existence and this reality. But an unhealthy motivation is like an unhealthy use of your ego, I think. So yeah, I mean, it's not bad to want money. It's not bad to want popularity. It's just that when that is I feel like I was so driven by that at a certain point in my life without even realizing it, just because, like I said, when you grow up in the United States And I really see this now that I don't live in the United States, but when you grow up in the United States, you're kind of told with things around you that your life is only meaningful if you're really rich or really famous or both, you know? And there's a lot of other things that go into that. So I feel like I was just believing that my life could only be meaningful if I had success in one specific way. Okay. Me too. I also don't understand why get rid of ego. Surely it's a part of why we wake up in the morning. You can't get rid of your ego, but you can use it in a better way. And honestly, I love these questions because I've been wanting to have Ernst Wilhelm on to my channel to talk about the ego specifically, because I feel like it's something that is really hard to explain. So maybe we should do that, right? We should have like a whole episode about the ego. And hello, Nina. So you guys are talking about the Leo and Aquarius. I mean, I definitely think that would be a placement exactly for that energy that we've been discussing, Leo and Aquarius axis, but it's not something that I personally have in my chart. It could have been something that was showing up in one of my charts, you know, and I don't know because it was so long ago. So yeah, you can have a healthy ego, right? Like we're talking about the sun. Sun is our ego. So you guys know that each planet has a good side and a bad side. So okay, let's just talk about it. Fine, we'll talk about it. Let's unpack this. So the sun, when it's really nice, is being connected with your divine spark of the creative essence, you know, our spark of the divine God or all that we are. It's being really in tune with your procreative power. So what you're creating, that is obviously because you are a part of God, what God wants to create in the world, and being totally in line with that, you know, spreading your light, sharing who you are, really sharing your true essence, your soul. Sun is the natural soul planet, or Ramakarka. So really spreading your soul with everyone, right? But when the sun isn't really working that well, it can be like almost like being disconnected with what you actually are and what you can actually share. It's that, like I was saying, like the motivation is wrong. It's like you are focusing, I'm trying to think of how this would relate, but it's like you're focusing on the wrong inspiration in a way. You know, you're not doing it from a place of just enjoying the process and enjoying who you truly are. Like I always saw myself, especially with music, like without even trying to, it's like I would almost try to be someone I wasn't. Like sun is our natural essence. So when we are using sun in a bad way, it's like we're trying to show our natural essence by being something we're not. Okay, does that make sense? I need to really think about this more before I really express it. Sun is actually my Atmakarka in the sidereal zodiac, but in the tropical zodiac, it's Saturn. So I relate a lot to Saturn, I would say. Okay, so yeah, I think that was all I was going to talk about today, those two things. And I was going to maybe talk to you guys a little bit about Costa Rica, because I thought it was so funny that that astrologer predicted, yeah, I would be doing like teaching, spiritual stuff from a very far away country, a foreign land in a very isolated location. And I am living in a very isolated location. It's very hard to get to where I live, and you can't even drive certain vehicles to get to where I live. And I'm doing this kind of work here. And I think sometimes I never really expected to live in Costa Rica. I always thought I was going to live in France or Canada or something along those lines. And when I look back to my entire life before I moved to Costa Rica, though, it makes so much sense. It kind of freaks me out. I don't know if you ever had this happen to you where it's like something unexpected comes into your life, but you kind of like see the little trail of breadcrumbs when you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, this was always going to happen. Or, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense for me. And I want to try to give you some examples, but like before I moved to Costa Rica, I was always drinking smoothies every single day. Like literally, even if it was negative 40 degrees below zero, I was like making a tropical smoothie. I was drinking coconut water all the time. I would buy these Thai coconuts. Like I just love fruits. I love fresh food like that. So I was always eating fresh fruits every single morning. I was also always taking baths. So I'm a very eco-conscious person, but when I was living in Minnesota, I was always cold. So I would take baths all the time, and I would spend as much time as possible in water. Like I would actually put a chair next to my bathtub and watch movies from my bathtub, answer emails, take Skype calls like from my bathtub every day. Like this was every single day. I would do yoga, drink a smoothie, then take like a 3-hour long bath. Just spend like 3 hours floating around in water, or I would put a bunch of salt in it and make it salt water. And I would just, sometimes I'd be on the phone with my dad and he'd be like, what's all that splashing sound? And I'd be like, nothing. I was just doing dishes. I would make up some excuse, but a lot of my friends knew that I was always in the bath. And now I'm like in water between 2 to 6 hours a day, every single day, because I love being in water. Like it makes me feel so good to be in water, especially salt water. It's the most amazing thing. So that makes a lot of sense. I was also, like I said, always cold. And I would always be wearing like 5 sweaters everywhere. And I always feel comfortable in like a really humid, sort of warm atmosphere. And now, like, I don't have to barely wear any clothes. Like, you don't actually have to wear clothes here, except for it's inappropriate to not wear clothes. But if you were a nudist, you could live in a place like Costa Rica. And when I did have adequate temperatures in my apartment, I would always be like mostly not clothed. I love to just be like free feeling. And I've always been the type of person that is like just very low maintenance, you know, like I don't like brushing my hair. I don't like wearing makeup. I don't like thinking about what I'm going to wear. I like to study. I like to learn. I like to like engage with nature. Like I don't really care about how I look, you know, which is freeing. And I feel like in Costa Rica, there's more of an opportunity to just be natural, and like people aren't going to question it. And I really do appreciate that. I also like that about New York, but Costa Rica is like, you literally, I don't wear shoes anymore. You know, I wear shoes only when I go to restaurants. Otherwise, I walk barefoot down the street to the beach. That's all that you need to do. What else? There's like all these weird, crazy synchronicities. Also, like I love snakes, and I love reptiles. And I just sitting here when I'm talking to you, I'm seeing like so many animals, birds, geckos, different types of lizards, iguanas, all of that. Also back to like the fruit thing. I have mango trees, lime, bananas, avocado. Like it's crazy. Like all, and I don't think this is necessarily a great place for everyone, but it's definitely like, if I look at who I am, it totally makes sense. Then I used to be a competitive swimmer when I was in high school or middle school. And I was like this record-breaking swimmer. I was training 2-3 hours a day. And so now I get to go back to this like training, paddling through the water 3 hours a day. And it feels so good because it's like so natural. It's something that I did every single day of my childhood. Before I was a competitive swimmer, me and my siblings would go to our local pool, which was half a block from where we lived, every single day in the summer, or to my grandmother's lake house every single day in the summer, and swim for hours and hours and hours. And so now I'm swimming hours and hours every single day, and it makes me feel like totally myself again. Those are so many different things. I also hate air conditioning, and usually it's a good temperature here where you don't need it. We don't even have one, so that's perfect. I don't know. I also have really, really dry skin normally, and my skin here is perfect. Like no flaky skin at all. So let's see. I'm just talking about why I love Costa Rica, but I thought it would be fun because it's like, I just moved to a new country in the middle of my channel. I love water too. It's so cleansing. Yes, Anissa, it's so amazing. I'm so glad you guys are relating to this. What are your cards related to water, Nicole? Well, my ecliptic card is a 7 of diamonds, which contains the 9 of hearts. And the 9 of hearts is that watery card. So I think that the 9 of hearts that I have is really related to the ocean and to water. And if you look at my moon card, it's a 3 of hearts too. So there's that water, like me feeling comfortable, wanting to be around water, all of that. And it's not a nice moon card, but moon ends up being with in the sign of, let me see, in the sign of Venus, and then Venus is well placed. So it ends up being okay, if you're wondering. Where are your other comments? Where does my snake live? He lives with his original owner. So it was maybe going to be permanent, but it was totally fine for him to take him back. And so he just went back to his original home. And I really miss him all the time. I think about him a lot. Sometimes I like watch videos of him and cry because I really miss him. But yeah, so those are all like the weird synchronicities between like before I came and my life here. And I always wanted to be by the ocean, and I always wanted to live this kind of lifestyle. And I feel really lucky for that. And obviously it was really cool that I met my boyfriend here, because that just makes everything more special and fun and amazing. So yeah, I wonder if you guys can look back into your own lives and see maybe the little trail of breadcrumbs leading you to where you are now. And back to the thing we're talking about with the ego is like, I had my mindset on my life being a certain way. And if I wouldn't have just let life happen and not have like this certain idea of who I was or what I needed, I would have never ended up here. And there's so many things that I didn't really expect would make me happy, but only in retrospect can I see like, wow, I never imagined that I would be a surfer, you know, or not like I'm a great surfer, but that I really love surfing. I never imagined that for myself. I never imagined living in Central America. So have an open mind, you know? So there are a lot of snakes where I live. And like I said, a lot of reptiles. There's boa constrictors. And if you go to my Instagram, my personal Instagram, I think it's at Nicole. Hang on, let me see. At Nicole_Brenny. You can see a venomous, deadly snake that I saw. But lots of boa constrictors, which are pets in the United States. I've been in Costa Rica for almost 10 months. I came for vacation and I never left. Adam, I am in the jungle. And thank you for your nice comment. I'm in the jungle next to the ocean. Like I can actually show you guys. My yard is kind of like rustic looking, but you guys can see like that's a huge tree. That's a crazy tree in the jungle. My broken board is there. I have an outside office so that I can see any omens that come for my clients if they come. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, if you get deeper into the jungle, you're going to see more stuff, but I have also monkeys that come here. So if you guys know howler monkeys, we have a bunch of monkeys that come to eat the mangoes and stuff like that. So you see monkeys and everything. I think everyone should be around animals more. And I feel like a lot has to change for us to restore a lot of the wildlife. Actually, it's so sad when you look. You guys should spend some time this afternoon reading about how we are destroying all of our natural environments and we are endangering so many of our animals. Like eventually, if we continue on this route, the only animals that are going to still be alive are going to be chickens and pigs and cows because we eat them. You know, so it's a lot to think about. Yes, so that's all I think. So I just wanted to give you guys some story time. We are going to be having Joni Petri here on Thursday. I don't know what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Maybe we'll talk about Mercury. But today's a 10 of clubs day. So, you know, there's a lot of magic in the air. It's the magician card and just a lot of stuff up in the air, you know, so just enjoy that feeling, get a lot of stuff done. I mean, before I got on this video, I was like cleaning and answering emails and doing everything that I possibly could. So, you know, you can get a lot of work done today, especially creative work. Plus, I believe that there's a nice Mercury sextile. Let me see. What is that transit that I was looking at earlier today? Oops, I just lost it. There's a nice transit happening and I can't find it anymore that I wrote down to be really creative today too. So you can get a lot of creative work done today. I'm going to do some writing And I also have Maria. I'm doing a reading for Maria today. She's in the chat. All right. It was nice to talk to you guys. It's always fun to do something like this with everyone. And I will be seeing you in my next video. As I mentioned before, if you were really looking forward to the Cards of Truth class and you still want to get in, just send me an email about your options or to get on the wait list for the next class. And I also am going to go to the Maldives with Joni and the Leo King and Alyssa Trahan. So you can also join us. That's actually open to the public. The information for that is below as well. I think that's all for today. I talked a lot. I just wanted to hang out with all of you. Let me see if you have any questions besides before I go. My computer is being really slow. I can't access your questions, so I'm going to go. I hope you have a wonderful day in these last moments of Mercury retrograde. Enjoy it. Enjoy all the craziness that's going to happen before it ends, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.